9 seconds. You can choose to stay and watch this review, or you can walk away. It's your choice. You choose to stay? Good, you have chosen wisely. I shall deal with those that walked away forthwith. But before we get started, as always, a quick thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. If you enjoyed the content I make and would like to offer your support, then for as little as $1 a month, you can get your name listed right here at the start of every video. Link to that is in the description below. And now, let's get into the actual review.
Police found multiple dead bodies on that farm in Sicily. Did you kill him?
9 seconds. Do I look like a killer?
The Equalizer 3 is the third entry in the Equalizer film series, based on the television series of the same name, that tells the story of Robert McCall, a former agent who seeks to undo the evil in the world, even if he has to take matters into his own hands. Vigilante films as a whole speak to our sense of justice. There's a small part of all of us that wants evildoers to not only be punished for their misdeeds, but to suffer greatly and painfully for them. And that's part of the appeal of these Equalizer movies. They provide audiences with absolutely reprehensible villains that you want to smack around and then watch evil be paid back unto them. And in that same vein, the Equalizer 3 follows said formula. As a matter of fact, these movies almost seem to paint these moments of graphic retribution as some form of divine power. Blood spilling is harmonized with the singing of a church hymn. As such, the film almost seems to be invoking an Old Testament-style semblance of justice. The film also keeps the violence inflicted upon innocents away and at a distance, almost as if their suffering has become background noise to their oppressors, whereas the suffering of the oppressors is shot very close and intimately, and we're asked to soak in every bone-snapping moment. Director Antoine Fuqua knows precisely how to shoot his scenes, and knows how to keep the shot compositions interesting without feeling like he's getting too showy. In fact, the opening 10-minute sequence might actually be the strongest 10 minutes of this entire franchise, and could have easily served as its own standalone short film, as we watch the bad guys slowly walk through the carnage that, unbeknownst to them, they will also befall. And just like the previous entries in this franchise, Denzel Washington is an actor that nails this role perfectly. You can easily buy both his restraint as he tries to suppress his darker and more violent urges, but you can also just as easily buy his unrelenting savagery once he finally marks these people for death. And you do genuinely feel the sense of kinship that he forms with the community that took him in. Everything about this performance and character feels authentic. Not only that, but one thing that I really appreciated about this film, that I don't see a lot of other vigilante or revenge movies do, is that he actually spends a good chunk of this movie on the offense. He knows that any action that he takes will have an opposite reaction, and so he takes proactive steps to strike back, rather than simply waiting for them to attack and then retaliating. Now, with all that being said, the script could have definitely used some polishing up. This film tries to juggle a lot of plot elements at the same time, and not always successfully. Plot elements will be established and then immediately dropped. We witness one of the villains violently torturing one of his minions, and then threatens to kill him if he doesn't give him the information he needs. And yet nothing ever comes of this. As far as I know, the minion is never seen again. The CIA agents barely impact the plot, and yet we spend so much time following their investigation. This results in the film being kinda overly complicated for what should be a very basic good versus evil story. And the film probably does spend a little bit too much time on establishing McCall's rapport with this Italian community that he's found himself in, with a couple of scenes just feeling just unnecessary. And I have to admit, when the movie ended, I was actually taken aback by how abrupt it ended, and I was kind of like, oh, that's it? It's over? But to be fair, I was under the impression that the movie was over 2 hours long, and it's not, so I was expecting it to go on a little bit longer than it did. So that might have just been the result of my own stupidity rather than a mistake on the filmmaker's part, but I just thought I would bring it up just in case. But let's make this as simple as possible. If you enjoyed the first 2 Equalizer films, you'll like this film. It delivers more of the goods that you've come to expect from this franchise, and it does it more than adequately. Had the script been polished just a little bit more, maybe if the pacing had been tightened up, or one of the subplots had been reworked, this could have rivaled the first film in terms of quality. But this one does enough to stick with you, including, as previously mentioned, its excellent opening sequence. This is a more than fine outing for those who long to have their sense of bloody retribution inflicted on pure evil sated. The Equalizer 3 gets a half-full shot. And I guess that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you want to see my early thoughts of any film I watch or to read more of my reviews, make sure to check out my Letterboxd account. The link to that is in the description below. And make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss any upcoming reviews. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.